Yes, yes, that's awesome. That
Yeah.
is really awesome. Yes.
Okay. So,
Glad to be having this conversation.
and I'm glad to have it with you as well. So, I'm gonna let you chill, get yourself
Okay.
refreshed together, and then I'll see if my lady's joining us. And if not,
Okay.
then I'll have you all to myself and whatever
Okay.
participants that we have joining as well.
Okay. Awesome. And will you be asking questions back and forth based on? Okay.
Yeah, it's just based on what you, because we have core questions that we ask. So the four core
Okay.
questions is basically a little summary of who you are
Mm-hmm.
and what led you to this inspirational point that you want to share with us.
Okay.
Where are you with that point?
Okay.
Where do you want to go with it in the future? And we normally end with the message to your younger self. Anything else comes in between. It's not just like, strictly interview, ask question. It's a conversation. So
Okay.
it's
That's what I
the
thought.
person behind whatever it is, the journey that you're sharing. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Okay. Great. That's
All
what I
right.
was thinking. All right.
All right. So see you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
All right, then cool. Was it?
Hiya. Don't know if you can hear me. As
Yes, I
usual,
can.
everything's on slow motion.
Well, I'm just surprised that you're actually joining in because I said, not surprised. I'm not surprised in that sense of you joining in. I'm talking about your surroundings allowing you to join in. That's what I mean.
Well, let's see how long it lasts for.
Well, our guest is here. I opened the room early so that she could get to test if the links and everything was okay with her and all of that. So I told her that I was waiting to see how it was going with you, and so she's going to join us back shortly. And that. So
I was going to go on the balcony, but sod's law, they've started to cut the grass.
just rub it in our faces, yeah. I'm not jealous of sunshine because we've got sunshine, but certain the environment is what you're using now to rub it into my face. But it's okay. I got greenery in Hertfordshire. It's all right.
Is
Maybe
it
it's not the same
green
kind
or
of
has
green.
it started to go a bit?
Well,
Has it started to go a bit
brown
brownish?
because it's a bit brown because the place kind of dry. It just look like straw. But it's okay.
Oh, I can't open your text now.
No, don't open it. It was me just asking you, are you joining or am I flying solo?
You'll cope either way because you're Miss Superwoman.
Hush up you.
I'm sorry.
I said, nothing. I said, oh, you're so wonderful to say such a thing like that. Yeah.
Listen, look at us. We're in 10 minutes early.
I know. And I didn't realize how much slacking I have been doing because I went and I looked at our events page and saying, okay, who have we got next week? I haven't done any posts. And as I come to the Canva, I've seen where I was in mid of doing it. So something must have happened that got me
It's called
distracted.
you on the phone for 3 hours. That's what it's called. I've never experienced anything like it. You come on just to ask a question, and next thing I know, you're 3 hours later, you're still on the phone.
Well, yeah.
Sorry. Well,
nothing. Yeah, so I was just there trying to make the post for next week's guest and the other week's guest that I have neglected to do. I know. Yeah. So that's
so basically what you're saying. Sundays haven't been happening because Sunday is your admin day.
Sunday has not been happening. Sunday I've been sidetracked into doing other things on Sunday. So what I did this Sunday gone, I went somewhere. I can't remember where I went now. I know I went somewhere Sunday. But yesterday, I went to the Tower of London.
Oh gosh, how did that? Was it only yesterday?
It feels only yesterday. No, we were supposed to have gone before, but what happened was by the time she was able to get away from work to go, we wouldn't have had enough time to do the tour. It would just be too rushed. So I said, no, we need at least minimum 2.5 hours for Tower of London. And even though we were there, it closes at 5:30, and we got there after 2. We still ran out of time and didn't get to do everything. So, but we got most of it done. And my poor feet. Yeah,
You did
yesterday I
wear
came in.
walking shoes, didn't you?
Yes, I did wear my walking shoes. And yesterday I came in. I was gonna do the whole soak foot thing. That didn't happen. I said, let me just take a little 10-minute nap, and I'll get back to that. That was this morning when I woke up. So yeah,
You could
but
have put your feet in soak whilst you were having your nap. You've fallen asleep in the strangest positions at the best of times. So
well, I
why?
wasn't planning on falling asleep with my feet in water. Not last night. I just wanted to lay down. I just said, let me just lay down for a moment. I was so tired when I got in. I just about made it from the car to indoors. But it was good. It was good. I love a bit of history, me. So anything that,
That's a bit of history. You
yeah, I
see,
love a bit of
look, I've
history.
had to leave the alcohol. Well, leave the spirits.
I'm about to say, I'm sure that says lager, and lager's got alcohol in it.
It's only 5.5, but it's nice and cold.
No, so I'm trying to come with all kind of things to like kind of sidetrack from your rubber. So anyway, all right, so let's go into it. So how is Grenada?
Grenada is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Yesterday I was able to actually do my walks. I just about hit the 10,000 steps. But since I've been here, yesterday marks a week since I've been here.
Yeah.
Um, I just haven't been, it's not that I haven't been able to get out, but I haven't been able to move around the same way that I would normally have because I had my precious package with me.
I'm not saying a word.
Yeah,
No
and
comment.
yeah. So anyway, she's now safely uh, back where she started, and she's fine. Although on saying that, she's talking about coming down on Thursday, and I've got the chat with Yasmin on Thursday.
Right.
It took a lot of explanation. You know what? I'm a grown woman. Why if I say no, it's no, but no, it doesn't work.
Not for our elders. Our elders will always be that child, and when even us, we start reverting to that child. Like,
As soon
yes,
as you meet them,
yes,
yes, auntie, no, no,
yeah,
uncle, yes.
yeah, yes, yeah. And all the things that we do as grown-ups, we want to hide it from them because we don't want them to see. Like, we think, yeah, that
Yep, tell
dynamic will
me.
never go away. We'll always be the child and they'll be the adult
Yep. She
at the
even
same
said to me at one stage, I can still meet you, I can, as if, as if she ever has. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll be like, yeah, I want to see you try. Only in my head, I'd say that, yeah, I want to see you try.
we're big and bad in our heads.
You know what I mean? Bully gaga in my head. I'm like,
Um,
okay. No, my grandaunt was the same when she was alive, bless her. That's funny, I got a picture when I went to go visit her in Jamaica, and she had just been giving me bare lip, and I just wanted to just like, and you can see in the picture, she's looking at me like, give me, say one more thing and see what I do. You can see in her face, And I'm like, oh, I'm a big rusty woman. But anyway, so Kylie, who will be joining us soon. So, no, let me put the doctor on it because you know how I am about this doctor title because they work hard for that doctorate. Yeah. So, Dr. Kylie is our guest this evening. Dr. Kylie Victoria McBride. She's an executive coach, leadership development consultant, and educator and speaker with over 2 decades of experience building high performing organizational cultures. Her journey is called Turning Trauma into Transformational Impact. So that sounds interesting in itself, what she's going to share with us. So what we've got to expect is the reality of her change. We're going to hear her starting journey with where she stands today as an industry leader and her major vision for the future. Um, and yeah, what she's going to share with us is that your past does not hold memories; it holds raw material for innovation. So me looking forward to this chat, yeah.
Well,
And like
if
I said,
anybody's got a pass, you have. That doesn't sound right. That's not no.
no, it
That's
doesn't
not.
really sound like I've just come out of jail and I've got like all my jail stories that are trauma turning. No, not quite. But yes, I think we've all got some kind of trauma working from, whether it be your conventional traumas or just things that are actually traumatic that we might not even see as
We
traumatic
don't
because
know because
it's just a
everybody
norm.
around us is like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
That's what happens to all of us.
yeah.
You know, it's like when we talk about beatings, you know,
Mm.
this new generation's like, oh, you must be traumatized. Like, what?
No.
Why would I be traumatized? But of course,
Yeah, yeah.
mm,
It was our norm. So it's like it's just the norms change as the decades go on. But sometimes I wonder, although some things they say it shouldn't be conventional and it shouldn't be normalized, but it hasn't. I don't see where it's done any damage to how we are as people. If anything, it's kind of shaped us to an extent. What do you think on that one?
it has shaped us. Hence, like when I was talking about my precious package earlier on today, I was for just for clarity, anyone that's listening in, when I talk about precious package, it's my special auntie, and I call her my precious package because when she's in my vicinity or in the country that I'm in, it's a case of, oh, I've got to pick her up to bring her here. I've got to go and get her to bring her there. And oh, this got to go to the train station. She's traveled from where, got to go to the airport. So it's like this precious package that I'm making sure it comes from one place to another. And that's why I call her my precious package. So I started to say something about her, and now it's gone clean out of my
No,
head.
we just talk about how certain things that we see as normal in that nowadays they would see that as a traumatic experience.
Yeah, yeah, and and it was because it was normalized, and now it's not normalized. People can see as a traumatic. Oh, this is the alarm to tell me to come online with you. Sorry about that. View two people in the waiting room.
I've just let
Why
them.
are they in the waiting room? Just
I think
admit.
it's the settings. It's the settings. Don't watch that. It's the settings. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a lot of things that are no longer normalized that will put people into a state of trauma because it's not normal.
Yeah.
You know, I had an experience as a lecturer in the college, a student being very disrespectful, and I took her by her elbow and walked her out of the room, and I was brought into the principal's office for abuse.
Mm.
And it's like all I did was to hold her by the elbow and didn't drag her, nothing, and she walked out with me out of the classroom. That is now classed as abuse.
Yeah. You're not allowed no physical contact at all. And
When
sometimes even sometimes what they take on as abuse is just even how you look at a student. Like, you look at them in a certain tone of voice in their head, how they perceive it. It's just so much things that, like I said, was normal in our time. And I
it's
don't
not
see where it's done us any harm. It shaped us, which now is considered the what you
Forgot
call
to
it,
put them in.
of
mm-hmm,
trauma.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Because even recently, we were talking about the typing classes. The teacher used to sit come around with a ruler. And if your wrists weren't up when you were typing and your back straight, she'd slap you with the ruler.
Yeah.
Well, we won't be getting away with that now. Is
But
that
yes,
Anita?
yes, Anita is here, and we've got some other guests. So welcome all that's here already. Lovely to see you.
Hello.
Lovely that you can join us. And just so you know, Anita, we do actually have our guest this week. I've spoken to her up to 20 minutes ago, so we do actually have our guest this week. So how are you, Anita? How's your week been?
I'm good, thank you. I'm doing well.
You're looking very glamorous. Where have you been?
Nowhere. Nowhere.
Okay.
I get moaned at by my sister. She says, "You have all that hair and you never have it out."
I always say that about everybody that's got hair. They go through all this trouble to grow their hair, and what do? They tie it up, and that's it. It's like, well, what was the point?
What was the point?
Oh, so we've let it out today. Very nice.
Today. It's not going to happen again.
And I, on the other hand, I washed mine and curled it up in preparation for the busy weeks ahead.
Are you going to Carnival? Is that
yes,
what?
I'll be at Carnival.
And
our previous guest, Pidor Tampa, she has a production on this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. But I'm going to the Sunday production.
Wow.
Terrible. I'll look for what it's called and refresh you in there that there's anyone who wanted to attend Pidor's event over the weekend.
I miss the Carnival. I really, really do. I really do.
Yeah. I was always about it, and I saw this video of how crowded it gets. And I remember there was one year that I was so traumatized by, I think it was the first year back after lockdown, and trying to get out of Carnival, because normally I usually leave before it's finished. And this particular year, I don't know, I stayed till the very end, and getting out, oh my gosh, I'm still having palpitations about it. Getting out was a mission. And I said I would never go Carnival again. But then I went a couple of years after that, and I'm going this year. So yeah, I'm going Carnival. Actually, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. I'm going to Carnival. So hello everybody else. Do you want to say a quick hello, howdy? And then don't know where did Dr. Kylie disappear to? She's still in the room. Let me let this person.
I am.
Hi.
Hi.
So, all right, so Dr. Kylie is back. Okay, y'all. So yeah, let's just crack on. I've said hello to all the other participants that are here already. Our honorary guest, our honorary participant, Anita, who is here every week without fail. Our loyalist supporter is in the house, so we know it's time to get started. I kind of added a little context to who you were at the beginning of our chat, but just to remind those who's just come in. So each week we have these live chats, right? So I am Beverly. I am aka your UK Fluffy Chick, and I am here also with
Yasmin Euphemia, aka Sugar,
who at the moment is I'm just gonna rub it in before she rubs it in. She's on vacation in Grenada, and she has still managed to. The internet has worked in her favor in the islands for her to still be here. So where is everybody else from today? Because I know our guest is from the US of A. So is there any of our international people here? Just say hey, shout out where you're from.
Hey,
yeah, so each
chat.
So our iPhone is checking in from Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
Hello, my sister. Hello, my sister.
Oh, it's Val. Val, why does your phone? Val is my big sister.
Oh, okay.
Why does your phone not have your name on? And I'm really pleased to have you, so I'm not going to moan. Thank you for joining us.
Good,
All
good.
right, all right, all right. So as you know, so each week we do these live Zoom conversations because I think that there is such what would you call it now? A community out there of unsung heroes. People are doing so much amazing things that we don't really get to hear the person behind maybe a journey of a life journey that could help to shape somebody else's walk, or an innovator of something, a product or a service, and we don't get to hear about these people and what they're doing. So this is what this platform is all about: sharing people's inspiration to their innovation. And this evening we have Dr. Kylie McBride, and her journey is called From Trauma to Transformational Impact. So if you could just introduce yourself to us, Dr. McBride, that would be great. And I don't know, what do you want me to call you? Dr.
Doc,
Kylie, Dr.
is
McBride?
no, it's Dr. McBride. I mean,
Okay,
Dr. Kylie. It was
Dr.
Dr.
Kylie.
McBride. I was school teacher, administrator for over 21 years. So I'm working in a different arena now. So I prefer Dr. Kylie, Dr. McBride. We're talking about trauma. May bring may bring back a little trauma. So Dr. Kylie is fine. I am from South Carolina in the United States, live here in the capital city, have lived in South Carolina all of my life. I don't necessarily intend for that to be for the rest of my life, but as circumstances have panned out, I've lived in South Carolina all of my life. However, I love to travel. I'm always getting flued out by myself, flying myself out. Nobody's flying me out. But if there's an airplane that is leaving an airport, I'm going to try my best to be on it, both within the continental United States and internationally. Just love to see the world, enjoy God's creation. I have one daughter who is 23 years old. And she is a kindergarten teacher. She has followed in my footsteps going into education, and she seems to be enjoying it. I am also a local pastor, have been pastoring for 14 years. So a good chunk of what I call my real adult life. And that is one of the highlights of my life, working with people, and as we'll talk about today, seeing them transform, seeing them evolve. I have a coaching, consulting, speaking business called the Evolution Coach. And that is what I believe we should be doing as human beings. We should not arrive at a point and feel that we have arrived. There's always more. There's always another level. There's always more exploration of yourself. So that I believe is the totality of my life work as reflected as an educator, as a pastor, as a community leader, and just as a person in general.
Oh, that sounds fantastic, because on so many levels I can relate on what you're saying, and I'm sure Yasmin can also, because we both work in education as well. So
Yes, indeed.
totally relate on that one. And like you said, watching people transform and seeing the changes, it's amazing to watch, and it's also rewarding to be a part of. So in your case, what inspired you to, do you think, to start on that as your life walk and trajectory? What made you do that?
I think it was always innate. A lot of it has to do, I believe, with being the eldest daughter. And I know there's a lot of research that's coming out now about the eldest daughter and parentification and all of that. And all of those things are absolutely true. But as the eldest daughter, you kind of become that third parent, and you're watching your siblings grow. You're watching them develop. So I think that framework just kind of innately settled into me. And I had always had three careers at the forefront. I was either going to go into the military. I was going to the military, do my 20 years, retire, become a police officer, or be a teacher. Preacher, pastor was nowhere on the list. Please understand that was no absolutely nowhere on the list. But though that was what I wanted to do, and all of those were careers of service and careers of impact and transforming, whether it's atmospheres, circumstances, and people. So I've always kind of been that leader, and I've always been able to. I believe I'm gifted to see the potential in people. And I once I see it, I just kind of I can't rest until I draw it out. And sometimes that irritates people to no end. Um, but that's just the way I'm wired. I
Yeah.
always want to see people at their best.
So it's that nurturing, innate nurturing quality that you have, and with that comes all these traits of, you see the best in people. Sometimes they don't see it. It frustrates you that they don't see it,
Hmm.
and you want to bring it out. And like you said, some people it can be an irritant, and some people it's what they need. Yeah, they need it
Yes.
because otherwise, they probably wouldn't blossom and bloom if they didn't have that guidance. Because I think a lot of people can relate that maybe when they were growing up, some of the guidance that would have shaped them as adults, they didn't have it. So you've been in those arenas that you can see it at the forefront. So I hear you say, Pastor, no way was that in my eye. That I didn't even. So what did you? Was you at least going to church as a youngster then? Because
Oh my gosh.
just don't just end up in church
Lot,
and
a
being a pastor.
lots of church, more church than I believe was necessary. And of late, just we're here again speaking about trauma, coming to realize that the church environment that I grew up in was traumatic. And in a lot of ways now, I think I'm very grateful for the foundation of faith. I'm very grateful for the awareness that there is a force, a God, a creator that is bigger than me. That if I allow him to, he will guide my life. I'm very grateful for Christian fundamentals. My personal experience, however, growing up in the church that I did, was in many ways traumatic. And that is one of the layers of trauma that I have begun to probably in the last year or two really look at and how that has shaped me. First of all, as a human being, as a woman, and as a pastor, and choosing to evolve and transform in those areas for myself.
Yeah. So yeah. So like we were saying earlier before we officially started this chat, me and Sugar was talking about different things that are considered traumatic now that when we were growing up was like normal, and because the normal and what is considered normal is changing, it's adding these different layers of what could be considered as trauma. So you're saying like yes, you appreciate the faith fundamentals that church has given to you, but what are the some of the trauma sides do you think it is that was the
Uh,
traumas?
I grew up in a church setting that was very, very, very patriarchal. And I in the South, in the Southern United States, we're in the Bible Belt, and patriarchy is still a very, very big thing. But the church environment that I grew up in was very patriarchal. It was the norm to hear things in church, such as when a woman leaves the kitchen, she's left her place in God. Things like for every time you hear an ambulance siren, um, you can blame that on Eve because she initiated the sin in the garden. So that's traumatic as a female sitting in church by itself, and these thoughts and this line of thinking is being propagated while you're trying to find yourself as a young lady, right? Connect with God, and it's all out of whack because I hear what you're saying about who I am, and you're preaching it and speaking it as if God said it. And it just really muddied the waters and affected my view of myself greatly. And then in the context of I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse from the age of 4 to 15. So in the context of that and wrestling with that huge secret that I internalized was because I was female and out of line someplace with God. Something was wrong. I was a female. Being a female wasn't a good thing. And this is what's being preached. And because I'm a female, this is happening. And it was just a big hodgepodge of scrambled eggs, in my mind and not having an outlet to try to figure it out. And growing up, going to college, and I was the one of the first young ladies in the church to actually go to college. One more comes to mind, two more come to mind, but I was one of the first, and it was automatically like, oh my God, what is she doing? Because I watched my peers graduate from high school on a Friday and literally on that Sunday morning walk up to the front of the church and get married.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was, and I was like, oh, nah, not me. So went to college, got my 4 year degree, but still ended up marrying somebody within that church belief system. And of course, it did not work. Um, but that was, and that's the trauma that I'm unraveling. Of course, done many years of work around the childhood sexual abuse, but looking at how all of the blocks of my life connect, and how they cause me to view myself, and shifting those viewpoints.
So what do you think is what helped you to shift those viewpoints? Because I mean, I just hearing what you're saying, I think maybe going to college might have been a seed to help you realize there is more than what your community and your church says you are. I'm not sure if that's what your experience was, but what is it that you think that helped to plant those seeds to say that you're more than what the church is saying you are?
Um, and college was a part of that. Number one, what happened when I went to college is I was, of course, away from home. And when I first went, I wasn't going to church at all. Now, I wasn't wilding out, but I wasn't going to church. And I remember one Saturday night, my dad called and he was like, so where are you going to church? Because there were several churches in that same, you know, organization that were close by, driving distance. And I just kind of, and then so my dad, who was my pastor, which further complicated by the time I was 10, my dad was my pastor, right? Which further complicated everything. And I said, nowhere. And he was like, he went into the scripture and, you need to go to church. So of course, I picked a church that was comfortable, familiar, and, and that's ultimately where met my husband. But even in the midst of attending that church, I was also exploring other churches with my peers who were Christian. So I was beginning for the first time in my cognizant mind to kind of hear and see a different way of experiencing God. And I can remember talking to my dad about that and immediately it being swatted down. After I got married, but those seeds were planted, right? Um, One of my very best friends in college, her aunt was a prominent pastor in the city and really in the state, Dr. Vera Davis. And I remember just being shocked and confounded that there was a woman preacher, a female preacher that was leading not only her church but an organization. And I had never seen that, right? And so again, seeds were being planted. God was activating things in me, and graduating from college kind of fell back into the same pattern, but it wasn't many years, too many. But once I accepted the call to ministry, I was effectively ousted from my father's church, and therefore from the organization. So and I've never really thought about it till you asked that question, but I do think getting away from that every Sunday,
Yeah.
every Wednesday, every Sunday night, every Friday night, and just having some room to breathe and think for myself was impactful.
Yeah, I think it would be. And also, I heard you say that if there's an airplane, you're on it. So I think also traveling and experiencing other
Exposure.
cultures definitely would probably make that awareness like I am not what I was told I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Exposure is everything, and God has blessed me to be able to travel, especially. And I always told people I had my daughter, I was relatively young according to standards now. I was 23, and based on brain research, you don't mature and your brain does not fully mature until you're 25. So I guess the first 2 years of her life, and she will probably say she's been traumatized more, were kind of fuzzy. But I remember when I had her, I was counting down, like she'll be in college and I'll still be young, and I'll still look relatively good. And, so she's a teacher, she's a professional. So I can go, right? And the exposure has been everything. And even the exposure, regarding ministry, traveling and speaking, within the United States and also internationally, to groups of women and men, and being able to help them see themselves differently. And it isn't, and saying that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with how you see yourself. But again, we can all stand to be transformed. We can all stand to evolve and take that next level. I've been blessed in November. I'll be traveling to Nairobi, Kenya, for 10 days on a mission trip there, to work with women and girls with empowerment, to help train ministers, male and female, senior and emerging leaders. So I'm excited about the grace that is on my life to help people in their journey to be their best selves.
My ears just pricked up, and I know Sugar heard it too when I heard you say Nairobi, Kenya, because I just came back from
Yeah,
there in America.
Oh,
somebody really
wow.
loves Kenya,
Oh,
so
we're going to have to
let's
talk
steer
extensively.
let's steer her away from that subject because she'll she's already leaned towards becoming your counselor. And if we go into Kenya, it's all over, Doctor. Do you know, Doctor Kylie? It will just
Come
all
go
be
with me.
about UK fluffy chick and her Kenyan experience.
We'll have to
Yeah.
talk offline.
Yes, we will
Because
do.
this will be
And
my first trip. So, yes, we'll have to talk offline.
we're gonna have an amazing time. So anyway, yeah, offline, yeah, I'll come back
Yeah.
to you on that one. No lost potatoes. All right, so traveling has helped to plant a seed. That exposure. College was where the original seed, you would say, because you was not say disconnected completely, but away from that overprotective environment in terms of
Mhm.
your biblical awareness and growth within church. So, um, is it fair to say that that kind of um, is where you also started to think that, seeing as you saw the transformation within yourself, that it's and you have that innate kind of nurturing trait about yourself within yourself as a way of seeing that, with what I'm learning about my transformation, I could share that with others. Is that fair to say? That's kind of where you kind of started off on going into transformational impact for other people. If that question made any sense.
I understand. Yeah, I don't think it was so much in college. There were things that I saw, but I was still kind of dismantling the ideology that as a woman, I didn't need to say anything, you know. Women be silent in the church. Women don't usurp your authority over a man. All of these things, you know. And I always tell people I could go toe to toe with anybody on this doctrine because it was so inbred in me. And as God rewired my mind, as He renewed my mind, there are things now that I used to know off the top of my head that it's just like it has been erased from my life. And I thank God because He literally transformed my thinking. I think that during my first year of teaching, and I had an eighth grade class, and I think that that is when, which was shortly after college, of course, that is when I was able to see in real time how I could get a student in August, and by June, especially in the eighth grade, because we're about to, in the United States, we're about to send them off to high school. By June, I have prepared them not only academically, but I've helped them to grow socially and emotionally to a point of maturity that they are ready for a much larger academic environment that will ultimately prepare them for college. And so when you have at that time 120 kids coming through your hands and you're charged to take care of them, to nurture them. Now I always, you know, and I tell my daughter this all the time. The no matter what you think about a child, that parent has sent their best to you, and you need to handle that child accordingly. This is the best they have, and they sent it to you. And so I really took that to heart, and that's when I began to see, like, in real time, that people can change. And I would hear all the time, how do you get him or her to behave in your classroom? And first of all, I don't play the radio. You're gonna come here and do what I say. But second of all, because, and probably should be first of all, they know that I believe in them, and I'm not gonna let them settle. And that has just become kind of the theme of my life. Those that attend my church, they can tell you that I'm always pushing them out of their comfort zone. I'm always pushing them to the next level. And that's just how I am. My friends, it's like, get up, come on, let's do the next best thing. So yeah.
Okay, I'm seeing reactions coming through. Taya Lee just sent some hearts. Is there any comments there in the sugar that you can in comments in the sugar? Comments there, sugar, that you can see. And again, where are you joining us from with Dr. Kylie, who's speaking to us about her journey from trauma to transformational impact? Is there any messages there in the chat there, sugar?
No. I'm going to excuse me if I'm not pronouncing your name properly. Tiara Pringle is really proud of her pastor. So she's like, yay. I will take this opportunity to say thanks to everyone that has joined us. We've got Tara. There's someone on the Samsung SM. iPhone has just left and sends her apologies. Yvette, Val, Anita. Yeah, oh gosh, I've obviously missed somebody out. I apologize profusely. Dr. Kylie, do you know, you've started off really like you've come out of a very dark tunnel. And so we know that you're a pastor, we know that you're a doctor. What is it that are you running all of these things at the same time, or these are just stages that you've gone through? My question is more is like, where are you actually at now?
uh Logistically, professionally, emotionally, all of that. Number one, yes, I'm running all of these things at the same time, with the help of Tierra, she's a part of the leadership team at church, and I actually just came back from sabbatical from the church, and they did a wonderful job. But when I came back, they were very eager to return the church to me. And one thing that I thought about as I was on sabbatical, and again, they did a wonderful job. Here again, the evolution of myself, releasing and delegating more to them, right? That I don't have to have my hands on everything. And I think that's a degree of maturity. I am still working in the educational arena, financial education, traveling the state, teaching eighth grade through 12th grade students about budgeting, saving, investments, that type thing. So that is actually my quote unquote full time job. Um, I am scaling my coaching and consulting business, the Evolution Coach. I am the mother, as I said, of an emerging leader, and an itinerant minister. I speak at other churches, conferences, things like that, and finding time to um, get flued out to travel. So all of it is going on at the same time, and sometimes, honestly, um, it is. I feel like it is too much. And I have to pause sometime and ask myself, is this a trauma response of trying to prove your value, the need to be needed,
That
staying
was
so busy that you don't have time to really think about some of the things that you would that would bring trigger you or bring back traumatic events or all of that. So I have not
yeah. That
quite
was one.
yeah, you're
That
right,
was
you're
one of the
going down the right
questions I
road. Yes.
waited to ask you. Like, are you just filling your time, just so that you don't have to focus on what has actually happened? The other question I want to ask is, have you actually had counseling about your past trauma, or are you
Yes.
just, yes, you have.
Yes, yes,
Excellent,
yes.
excellent.
And in counseling now, and I've had counseling, stop counseling, gone the cycle, have done inpatient psychiatric care, have done day treatment. So after my father passed, I went to day treatment program. So I've done, and I've done work, and without that work, I would I would be a total train wreck. Right now, I'm just a Toyota Corolla wreck. Uh, but I would be a total train wreck. And but again, to sit with that, sometimes it's just overwhelming, and it's easier, in all honesty, to pick up the next thing to do because there's always something to do,
There's
right?
always something to do, but keeping in mind our past guests, it's my concern now is about burnout.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, we do travel, but even moving away from it, just organizing the traveling can be stressful in itself. So, how I, I know you do budgeting. It's like I'm tempted to use this word budgeting. How do you compartmentalize all the different things that you are doing? Because I presume you're doing them over 7 days, and
And
you're
I
not.
needed and I need an eighth day and 10 more hours in every day. One thing that helps me tremendously um is my friend circle. I believe, I'm a firm believer that when women arrive at a certain age and their children are at a certain age, they're able to kind of return full throttle into that sisterhood. And my friend circle will tell me, sit down, go someplace and sit down. And even if it's for, you know, 30 minutes to break up that. you know, in my mind and to kind of reset. When I'm not traveling for work, I work from home, which has been a welcome change. And it allows me um, the flexibility to um, not have to get into the rat race, you know, because I can remember walking into the school and before I would get to my office, I'm coming down the hall and it's like, Dr. McBride, can I have a minute? Dr. You know, it's like, my gosh, I had one teacher. She asked me, she said, Dr. McBride, I need to ask you something. I said, hold on, I'm going to the restroom. She said, I can ask you in the restroom. And I was like, look, you know, hold on. You know, there have to be some boundaries here, and so I am not perfect at it by any means, by any means, and I do too much. I often go to the point of exhaustion. And here, this is another place that I need to evolve and to transform and to honestly look at what needs to come off my plate. And that is a place that I'm moving into being very intentional about because I want to enjoy the next 85 years or so that I have on this earth.
Amen to that. And that's like Sugar said, it's just there was a undercurrent theme with previous guests that was coming up with this burnout, and all of them were saying where they were, the overgiving, over serving, overdoing, and it led to burnout. So, and yeah, so that is also something, yeah,
Absolutely. And that's
uh,
actually before I made this, you know, and I don't like to say career change because I'm still in education. But before I made this shift out of the K-12 system, you know, traditional school building and all of that, that's exactly what happened. Um, I I left on March 19th of that school year, and I did not return until the week of July 4th to pack up my office. I was just done. Um, and it was it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot about the culture, but it was a lot of stuff, and I just took myself to the place that I was just done. That there was no reasoning with me, there was no intervention that could take place, and I was just done. And I don't want to find myself pushed to that point again. And part of it is learning to say no, no,
hmm
not,
hmm
you know, no. And,
and and even delegation, because
yes,
we can't micromanage. Um, as I've said, past people have talked about it's too much for one, but not enough for two. But we really do have to say, okay, this has to go to somebody else,
yes,
because otherwise, you love what you're doing, but you just can't. It's not sustainable,
yes, yes.
And
And one
we.
thing my pastor tells me all the time, he says, look, if you do the things that only you can do, within the context of whatever organization, whatever you're doing, you do the things that only you can do. And that has resonated with me because you can get bogged down in small tasks, like you said, micromanaging, wanting to have your hands on everything. And again, that's a trauma response because I can depend on me,
hmm
but I can't depend on people,
hmm
right?
hmm
So I had to transform out of that after being disappointed by people and abused by people and, you know, and made to feel unsafe by people. And so it's like if I release my baby to somebody else and bring them into this place and share all of my quote unquote trade secrets, you know how it's but it's a trauma response. And with anything, you know, that has been traumatic, the first point of healing, the first place of healing, is to recognize it and to acknowledge it and say, look, this right here, this is not just a hurt, this is not just an offense, This is trauma. This is a deep emotional or physical response to something horrible, something gut wrenching, that has impacted your ability to think, to process, to and to cope. So you really have to be honest with yourself there, and then look at the ways, honestly, that it has impacted you. Relationships, inability to trust, inability to delegate, all of those things, and inability to process emotions. You're easily triggered, over emotional. You're always leaning to the negatives. All of these things. So you have to sit and be honest and say, you know what? This is not my best self. This is not who I was supposed to be. And I remember, if I can say this, I was at my cousin's house years ago, and we were standing outside, and my daughter was probably about 4 or 5, and she was out, and she has a very bubbly, gregarious personality, very animated. um and my cousin, who's probably about 20 years older than me, 15, 20 years older than me, she said, so she was, older when I was born. She was watching my daughter play with another one of our cousins out in the yard, and we were just talking, and she just kind of got quiet, and she was watching my daughter. And she looked at me and she said, that's how you used to be until you were about her age. And I just, I said, oh, I kind of stopped and I said, "Oh, really?" But and what I wasn't going to say to her was, um, you know, that is the point in my life where the abuse started. So my whole personality, that place where my personality was developing, my awareness of myself, what I like, what I don't like, who I want to be. You're going to kindergarten, they're saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? You're beginning to make little friends. All of that shifted right there in that developmental stage. And now here I am, 30, 40 years old, trying to uh, figure it out, trying to understand. And then part of me realizing, from a very sad place and a place of anger, that I will never be that person again.
Right. Right.
But still having to trust God, right? That He has a plan for my life and everything. But I will never be that person again, because that person was not allowed to develop. And that is painful to sit with.
Mm.
That is very painful to sit with,
Yeah,
even now.
childhood loss.
Yes, yes.
But even with saying that, sometimes I feel like, because I've always had this as a thought process for me. Everyone has as a purpose and a journey that they've got to take from before they were even conceived. That's what I
Hmm.
think, right? So
Yes,
even though you've now been put into existence because the creator, God, however you want to name the higher being, has put you on this planet for a purpose. And it's like your journey, sometimes, yes, you might go off track, but there's things that bring you back to the road that you're supposed to be on.
yes,
So you
yes,
might not have taken the conventional path that you think in your mind, had things been different, that you would have been on, but the what do you call it, the D path had to happen to help to groom the person that you are now. That's
absolutely.
my
Yes,
thought process,
yes,
because
yes,
you
yes,
wouldn't
yes.
have had those experiences had you
Mm-hmm.
been
Mm-hmm.
on that path. So now
Absolutely.
I feel like lived experiences are always the best in terms of relating to other people, because they say what they say in Jamaica, who feels it knows it. So
Yes.
because you're not doing these transformational life coaching based on text and what you've read or what you've studied,
No.
that walk. So it's
No.
more authentic, it's more relatable. Your people can more trust you with your story because
Yes.
you've been on that story, and you are
Absolutely.
a proof, and admitting that, like you said earlier, you don't just get to a part and that's it. Ta-da, finished, I've arrived. You're
Hmm.
still learning, you're still growing, you're still transforming. So in
Um,
terms of where you say you are now, future wise, what more transforming do you feel like? Well, you said you want to work more on your set, your pausing, your
Yeah.
boundaries in terms of everything. But
Yeah.
what else do you think you want to transform in the future, and for other with other people?
I
before you
think
go
that,
on, sorry,
okay.
Dr. Kylie, just wanted to say that Denise was saying that it's a grieving process and
Yes.
it's left scars, but you are, or there's a jewel in the wound. This is
Well,
what she wants to say to
that's
you.
that's good. I'm gonna steal that. There's a jewel in the wound. As preachers say, that will preach. Uh, and I agree that, and even as, what was meant for evil turns out for your good. And I think that part of the maturity, and I don't think that you can move forward until you get out of that place of, and it's a delicate balance because you can go so far to the left that you don't acknowledge the trauma, right? You don't acknowledge how it has altered you. And I say, if you had a traumatic accident or a traumatic brain injury, people would be more sympathetic, right? You had a traumatic accident and it caused you to lose a limb, and people will be more sympathetic to you having to learn how to walk and use your prosthesis and all of those things. I think a lot of time when we deal with mental emotional trauma, people are less sympathetic. They say get over it. So I wouldn't tell somebody who just lost their leg, get over it. It's like, what do you mean? I just lost, I need to learn how to walk again. And so I think that leads to some of the secrecy, some of the trying to deal with it within yourself, and especially in the African American community. Counseling, therapy, what happened in the house stays in the house, right? We still don't talk about sex freely, let alone sexual abuse and and incest and all of these things. Like, it's still this hush hush. So I definitely believe that the place that I am now, because it requires it for my next level, is that delegation, and beyond delegation, it is crossing stuff off my list, that I'm just not doing this anymore, period. But also, to directly answer your question, not being concerned about people being disappointed when I make that decision. Because if I go down my personal list, there are a lot of things that I do because I don't want to disappoint people or because they've come to expect it.
Mhm.
Um, so being able to say, nah, I'm not, no, mm-mm, get somebody
and
else to
and
do it.
no, and no, with no explanation. No,
Yes,
you know,
no, it's a
because some
complete
people say,
sentence. Just
yeah, you say
nah,
no,
nah.
no, I can't because no, just no.
That's a
Yeah,
trauma response. You
yeah.
give a whole, dissertation reason why you can't pick up a loaf of bread from the grocery store. I can't pick up a loaf of bread from the grocery store and bring it to you because I am laying down watching Law and Order. But the answer is nah, I can't do that. And it may be no, I can't do it, but I will be out tomorrow and I'll bring it by. Things like that. But again, and learning my voice, because I did not have a voice. You didn't in my home, because again, my dad was the final authority. You could feel, think any way you wanted. And I remember him telling me one time that anything, and I was 18 years old, and had a relationship with God. He said anything that God has to tell you, he will tell me first. So I'll know it's him.
Mm,
But when he said it, it didn't sound right, but I accepted it because he said it, right?
mm,
And so again, dismantling all of those things, because when God called me to the ministry, my dad was furious. I mean, like, just he took it very personally. So that disappointment, and to the point that we never had a conversation about it after his rage at the beginning, and he never heard from my mouth that I was a pastor. So he died, left this earth without knowing that 5 minutes from his home, the house I grew up in, I had a church that I was leading.
Wow. So,
What?
so
Why?
that in
Well,
itself is a
that's to
trauma
do
in
with
itself.
the girl as well, isn't it? Though
I didn't exact both of y'all were saying
Sorry,
something.
sorry. Go on, Sugar. What did you say?
I was just
Why?
saying that that's to do with being female as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
know, if
yeah.
it was a boy, he would have been extra proud and all
Oh
this sort of
yes.
thing. But
Yes,
as
yes, yes.
a female, it's like
No.
you've overstepped your place.
Yes, he told me one time because I have one brother, love him dearly, and he is so what he does very, very well. But he was not called. He's not a preacher. And my dad said to me one day, as we were leaving church, because, and I always tell people I did everything in my dad's church except preach. I did the books. I did back then it was the tape and the CD ministry. I did praise and worship. I played for a while. It was everything, right? Um, and he said to me, "You have all of the um qualities I wish my son had."
Wow.
But because I was not a son,
Mm,
and
mm.
when he got sick, he ended up folding the ministry. And so many people ask me, why is he folding the ministry instead
I
of
could have just
just
passed to
setting
you.
you up as pastor? Yeah,
Yeah.
so many people ask. I said, and I would tell them, go ask him. Ask him.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
Woo.
So it was deep. I mean, like it was just deep seated. And so you feel less than as a human being, as just based on your gender, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't choose to be a female. No, so but so it's that disappointing. And I realized I was journaling a couple, and I don't even know if I wrote it down. Um, but I was thinking it. I don't think I wrote it down. But I said um to myself that I was still dismantling. No, what I said to myself was, it is amazing how many years I spent in my life trying to please my father.
Mm,
And again, just coming to this realization and saying to myself, how much are you still trying to please him, even though he's deceased?
mm,
And of course, he was not. He was not a villain. He wasn't all bad. He was a provider. He was definitely a protector. He came home every night. He wasn't a philanderer. He lived what he preached. Um,
mm.
even even if it wasn't right, but he wasn't
But
all
Dr.
bad.
Kylie,
Yeah.
but Dr. Kylie, it's actually in your DNA to think I need to please
Yes.
because it's been oh, I can't even find the word. It's yeah, it's I'm gonna stick with it's in your DNA.
Mhm.
You need to please,
Yeah.
regardless of whether they're dead or alive, you know.
Yes. Yes.
It.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what it
It's
sounds like? It sounds like the monarch.
I'm
You
I'm
know,
exasperated on your sorry on your behalf. Yeah.
it sounds like the monarch. It goes to the boy child first.
Hmm. Hmm.
It, because the queen only became queen because there was no son.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
the
what it sounds like.
monarchy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yes.
And that's and that's and what you said about it being in my DNA, and so that's the part that um I have to reconfigure, because it's self-limiting. So when you talk about evolution, right? And as you know, as the evolution coach, I have to continually be in this process. There has been great progress, but as I make progress, I also had these new kind of revelations or realizations that, wait a minute, there's more for you. And so when I am working with folks, and all of my postgraduate work is in um, pastoral counseling, clinical counseling, and urban ministry. So as I'm working with folks, um, that's the point. That's the viewpoint, because I'm on this journey with them. My first book, Leaving My Brother's House, the title is A Journey to Freedom and Wholeness. And the thing that whenever I talk about this book, and I don't know if I put it on the back, the it's the fact that I am still on this journey, and we all are. And we can accept that and say, there's always more, but not always more. I tell people, celebrate your victories, but don't sit in them.
Mm, mm,
Because if you sit there too long, you'll say there's no more. But celebrate them, party hard. But what's next?
mm,
What's next for you? So I am, as I conquer one thing, so to speak, it's like, okay, but I still don't feel like I'm there. So what you said about it being in my DNA is so powerful, because while biologically we can't change our DNA, I believe mentally, emotionally, from your thought processes, you can change that that DNA, those planted thought patterns, and ways of seeing yourself, if you
Yes,
do the
because
work.
even Denise has said it's probably a generational wound,
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
she's in a
yes.
similar field to yourself. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope you
And the
understand that
more,
terminology.
oh, absolutely. And the more I learn about his growing up, the more I understand where he came from and why he did and lived the way he did. And so you pass it down, and then, but somebody has to say it stops here. And I am that person, but you can't say it stops here without doing the work on yourself. You can't. You can't say this is the last generation, this is the last. You cannot do that without doing the work on your. I don't care how many books you read, I don't care how much scripture you quote, how many sermons you listen to, I do how many retreats you, until you do the work on yourself. And it is work where you crack yourself open and say, okay, what's in here, what's in here. And you start getting that stuff right with the help of a counselor. And I always tell people, if the doctor tells you you need to take a little white pill until you can get your mind right, you need to ask them how many. All of them gonna be white? Some might be orange, purple, whatever. I need to do that so that I can think clearly, to be able to process everything, all of this, and move to my next level, continue to evolve, continue to transform, so that you can have the impact that you need to have on the world. Because that's why you're here.
because I think as well, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I mean it's like um being from the South, right? Because
Oh my
we all have
gosh.
this stereotypical thought of the South,
Yes.
and I have lived a short time in the South. I lived in Florida for a little while, and I saw how the thinking of the people were. It's very insular. So um, it's easy for things to be transformed, we call it, to be intergenerational, because if they stay insular within the South and what their belief system and what they know is, and that's it.
Yep.
There's no, it's just black and white. There's no gray. It's very difficult to break from that. And that's why I always come back to saying, like, your college leaving out, although for some people, college leaving out, they still did the college in the South, so they didn't get to
Mm-hmm.
really get any kind of seeds. But traveling, because I knew a lot of people in Florida didn't even have a passport. Their idea
Mm-hmm.
of traveling was to go to Atlanta or to go
Yep.
to one of the Carolinas. That was
Yep.
travel.
Yes.
And I just feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if it's the fact that it's difficult to make sometimes that impact that you'd like to make because of people being so insular. Is that Correct. Fair to say that.
Absolutely. And I mean, it has, and it, and that's another thing that, a place that a realization that I've come to of late, that this is a culture, this is systemic, this is, and you also, in the South, in the United States as a whole, really, but definitely in the South, you have to look at the heritage of slavery among African Americans and the things that we bring and have been brought over from that institution in regard to how we deal with each other, how we deal with our families, how the government deals with us. Even it's so, and I don't have time, but it's so many layers to even that. Even though we're almost 400 years removed from it, theoretically, from the physical being on a plantation, but you can't have 400 years and you can't have 400 years of indoctrination. You can't have 400 years of a way of being for a whole group of people. And because in 1865, they say, okay, go free, it just, your mind remind you, go back to being kings and queens and having a mindset that says that you're made to have an impact, that you are to have dominion, that you're to build, that you're to be leaders. That just doesn't click because now you're 400 years
That's
removed from
still
that. You don't
part
have a point of
of the
reference.
generational wounds.
Yeah, so here it is, generational. So it's
Yeah.
still, it's pervasive. So that is one of my challenges. And then again, as a female in the South, I mean, and as a female who is a leader in her community, there have been rooms that I've sat in, and I have clearly just been discounted, passed
Mhm.
over, and I say just good old boy system, um, among blacks and whites because I'm a female. And when I do get an opportunity to open my mouth, it's like, you know,
But
but you don't want to hear anything I had to say because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
That's it.
the person who wants to represent you, Darlene, doesn't even know what is happening in her own state.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Waste
Yep.
of
Yep.
time. But they
Yes.
still voted for her.
Yes. And here again, it's systemic. It's a mindset. So it is challenging.
Mm,
It is so challenging. And when you understand it, and that this is a culture that I'm pushing against,
mm,
it's bananas. And so my thing becomes, am I called to shift culture in here? Am I
mm,
called to shift culture here when I'm being literally invited into other spaces, other countries, other states. And so another part of the evolution, I have to sit with myself and say, and open myself up to, where am I called to shift culture and to help people evolve and to have the level of impact that is gnawing on the inside of me. So, and I don't have an answer for that yet. I don't, but I'm following um the doors that open. I'm sitting here today, um, and the paths that are set before me, and I believe it'll become clearer as I keep walking. I don't believe that's
yeah.
something I can think my way into. I think I have to act my way
Led.
into it, make
Hmm.
the moves.
Absolutely. So you said you do. So just to kind of summarize each pigeonhole that you have, if you like. So you do. So you have the evolution coaching. Is that correct?
Yes,
You also have a church that you're a leader of, a pastor of.
yes,
You're still in the educational um, system. Is this with eighth graders
The
up to 12,
budgeting,
for instance?
fantastic subject.
yes.
Okay. And have I missed anything out? Because I feel like I've missed something out. There's something else you said that you do.
I'm a speaker, and an author, my
Oh,
mother.
okay. Now
Um,
I heard you say you have a book. So and you said my first book. So that implies to me there's more than one book. So
Yes.
how many books and what are the names of your books, please?
My second book is called The Moses Mentality, and I'm actually working on an expanded version of that includes a workbook and a journal, and it's for the reluctant leader, and it looks at how Moses was like, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, right? And so God sends him help in his brother Aaron, but as Moses walks and he begins to do the thing, right? You see Aaron fade because he was already equipped, even though he stuttered. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. Whenever we see a great thing and it looks big, it looks huge. It's like, you want me to open a transition home for women who suffer domestic violence, or prisoners who are on parole, or you want me to run for political, what I'm supposed, this is what I'm supposed to do. It looks so big, right? And I've been guilty of trying to find people that I felt had more influence than me and say, okay, you come, and pushing them out front. And it's like, no, you're supposed to be out front. Well, I don't know how to, you're supposed to be out front. And as you do it, you learn how to do it. Right. So, that book, that was my second book. I have a collaborative, work, called Properly ID'd, um, which again speaks about finding yourself. And I worked on this with a team of, a team of, other folks, and the idea sprung from, it sprung from a sermon that I preached on Father's Day about, Gideon not thinking he was good enough, and the team I worked with was great. Not taking anything away from them, everybody contributed, but one of the things that, um, I understood after the book was published was that, just like I said in the Moses mentality, I pull people along with me to help me with it, but the thought was my thought. I wasn't supposed to write it with a group of people, because the concept, the thought was my thought, but it was me saying, I'm not good enough, or if I write it by myself, nobody's going to be interested. And so, just again, some of those trauma responses, some of that stuff that's deep seated, in me. And so yeah, I have an anthology, that I took part in. I don't think I'm forgetting any, thing, but I love to write. When I was in middle school, I would write stories in a notebook, and all day long, I don't know how we got out of middle school. My friends would pass the notebook around, and they would read the chapter that I wrote the night before, and then I would have to go home and write another chapter and bring the notebook back. So I've been writing, for a long time, but with every, yeah, and here again, with all that I have going on, um, I have not been writing as much as I need to be, or as much as would bring me joy, because there's always something to do.
Okay, so if we're going to look at what is your plans for the future, we're going to add to that list allocating time to do the things that bring me joy. If it's even 1 hour out of the week, that's my
Yes,
challenge to
yes.
allocate an hour out of the week. Hear me talking, sugar. Listen to me. This is a message to
I'm
self.
laughing because
What, the pot calling the kettle black?
yes, exactly, exactly. That's why I'm laughing, you know. But
It's easier to say it out loud to
let's,
somebody else, but it's like you got to I kind of hear yourself and take it in. So
Yes.
yeah. And time to pause and breathe. Because as our previous guest, I would not had said, we've got to take that time out to just stop and breathe. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna challenge you 10 minutes a day
10,
to pause
10
and
whole
breathe.
minutes.
I hope you're taking this challenge on for yourself as well. Do you know,
10 minutes a
Dr.
day.
Kylie,
Yes, ma'am.
10 minutes a day, and passing on jobs that you don't have to be a part of to somebody else. Oh, you realize what we're doing now, Bev, that we're actually doing counseling. And yeah, when we're not qualified in that, it's just that it stands up so high that it will be a standard thing that your group of ladies will be telling you anyway.
Yes.
It's actually 11 minutes past 8. So I'm going to jump in and just say, can you tell us what you would say? What advice would you have given to your younger self if you were able to go back with the knowledge that you have now? What advice would you give to your younger self?
The advice I would give to my younger self would be to use your voice regardless of the perceived consequences. And as you use your voice, you will find the strength to deal with whatever those consequences are. Open your mouth. Advocate for yourself.
Amen. Amen.
Excellent. Yes, I think a lot of us should be saying that to our younger selves.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, I've got to thank you, Dr. Kylie McBride, for accepting this invitation to be here. It's been a pleasure hearing
Likewise.
your journey, your story, and a lot of it we can resonate with. And younger people and just people in general, whether male or female, I'm sure there's lots of nuggets in what you just said that it can take to make some kind of impact on their life path. And please share with us later on. You can send it to us so I can put it in your YouTube upload that's going to be available for replay.
Okay.
All the links to how to connect with you, your book titles, everything, so I can put that in the description so that people are aware of that. Because I think always having a book with a workbook to work through,
It's
about
a
ourselves,
lovely idea.
it's a lovely idea, and I think that in itself will have a lot of impact on people who are utilizing it. And just to all the participants that we've had, guests has joined us tonight, thank you so much. And today's link up has been very international because we've had within America, the UK, Miss Sugar in Grenada, and it's been a very international link up. And I really
Denise has said, thank you for sharing, Queen. That's Dr. Kylie. When we speak our truth, we encourage others listening to do the same.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and the listening ear. I
so
don't
much.
take it for granted.
No. And we don't take it for granted either. Like I said,
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. So so like I said, your video will be available on YouTube after uploaded. I'll send you the link so that you can share it within your networking space. And I've got to also shout out to
sorry, UK fluffy chick. Just as they're coming in, Event, sorry if I haven't pronounced your name properly, says awesome discussion. Thank you all for you, and a special thanks to Dr. Kylie.
Okay, thank you. No, because
You
I was
can
going
carry
to
on now.
shout out to her community, because her community has been sharing the event being on tonight. So I got to really shout out to her community, because this is what we hope for people to do, to be sharing the links to raise that visibility of the great discussions that we are having each week at 7 p.m. From inspiration to innovation, they have been fantastic, and tonight has been no exception. So to share and to join, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, subscribe, and those are the things I'm supposed to say. Yeah.
Yep.
To our
I
channel.
definitely will, because it's 3 p.m. here, so a lot of folks are still at work. So I'll definitely share once you give me the link. And some people are at their desk sneaking and listening at work. So
because I saw somebody named Kathy said
calling their names.
But I gotta go. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I shouldn't say her name, but yeah.
That I believe that's one of my church. That's one of my church members. That's either my mom or one of my church members. If it's Kathy with the C, it's one of my one of the church.
I'm just out there. Stitches get stitches. Oops.
Hey, I appreciate the support.
Right, but I really, no, we really appreciate the support. So that is, it's great. We do have a Facebook page, a Facebook group called Support a Sis-Star Network. So they're quite free to join that Facebook group if they're on Facebook. And any events or anything that you want to share within the community, just drop it in there. It's all about raising awareness. That's what our platform is all about. So yeah, anything else that you want to add to that, Sugar?
No, I've put the links again in, but it's a bit late for people. I did put the links to our different social media in the chat, and I've just put it in again if anybody wants to grab them before we wrap up.
Okay. Well, okay. So I think I've finished.
That's as much. And thank you so much, Dr. Kylie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, then, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go take 10 minutes to pause and breathe. And we will speak Kenya off the air, yeah? Don't forget, I'm going to link you up.
Yes, definitely. Right, definitely. All right. Take care.
All right,
Thank you.
Wrap, Sugar. That's a wrap.
All right, bye-bye.
That's a wrap. That's a wrap. Thank you to everyone that's joined us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.